Hi, I'm Gaia.
And I'm Angelica.
Today we're speaking to Dominic, co-founder of 25 million commercial cleaning and facilities management company Cleanology. Hi, Dominic.
Hi.
Thanks for coming today.
No problem. It's great to be here.
So what is Cleanology?
Cleanology is a commercial cleaning and facilities management, as you so kindly introduced me.
Mouthful.
Yeah, I know that mouthful. We look after, I'll say high-end, like blue chip kind of clients all over the UK. So we provide daily commercial cleaning to them. So probably 80% of our business, and the rest of it is other soft services. So we provide services like pest control, recycling waste, washroom services, those kind of things, yeah.
So what is blue chip?
Blue chip.
What is that?
Like corporate.
Big corporates.
Big
Hey,
corporate.
I haven't heard that as a phrase before.
Big corporates.
Big
No.
Mercedes-Benz, BBC, insurance companies. So I'd say about 65% of our clients are office-based, professional services, lawyers, financial institutions. Retail, we do some schools, car showrooms, conference centres, the royal household.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah,
I did read that on the website when I was reading the
mixture.
website. Royal clients. I was like, ooh,
How does
interesting.
one pitch to the royal household?
Windsor Castle found us on Google.
No way.
Yeah.
I love that.
God, you need to
Windsor
satisfy your
on
ad
Google.
spending.
So, and they found us on Google. They phoned us up one day and said, our company's let us down. Can you come in and give us a quote, do the cleaning? So we won that. And then they recommended us to Buckingham Palace. And then we tendered for the contract, which was Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, Marlborough House, Clarence House, and St James's Palace. And then we won that. And then they threw in Harry's Pad, which was Frogmore Cottage, but then he disappeared off to
And then he
America.
Oh, no.
So we no longer do that because we don't need to. And then we had that for 5 years, and then we retendered and won it again 2 years ago. So next year,
Very
hopefully, we can apply for our Royal.
So if you think about where you started and where you're at now, what does that evolution look like? And what is it like to work with your mom? Because your co-founder is your mom, right?
So she started originally. So cleaning and FM is one of those industries where you kind of fall into it by accident. So most people I know either fell into it and got the hell out, or fell into it and then stayed. So my mother got into it and got out. We got to about 5 employees, and she's like, all right, I've had enough of this. And then I carried on, and 22 years later, obviously still here. She had a friend that had a cleaning business, and she was going to buy it. Anyway, the whole thing kind of fell through. She got the opportunity to bid for a contract. And she said, oh, what do you think? Shall I go for this or not? And I was like, well, you've got nothing to lose. You may as well. So she did. She won it. And then, not expecting to, and then kind of just ran that for like 4 or 5 years on her own. Just felt like a bit of a home business hobby. Used to drive up to this, see this chap who used to clean for us, Kunal, back in the day, and pay him every week, give him his check and all that kind of stuff. And we used to have checks in those days. There's no backs.
Vintage.
Yeah.
Pre-PayPal.
Yeah, exactly. Free PayPal. And then I was at uni. Then I was involved in some other businesses. And then she said, "Oh, can you help me with the marketing? Put together a website." So I did that. And then I said, "Right, I'll help you for like 3 months." 3 months turned into like 10 years. 10 years turned into 20 years.
Oh, time flies.
And time flies. But when we started, we were, I think, the second or third company on Google. And we were paying about
so cool.
20p a click, 10 or 20p a click. So I used to go on every morning, and I used to like knock out our competitors so that we stayed there for like the rest of the day. Obviously, I can't do that now. And now, instead of paying 10 or 20p a click, we're paying £80 a click.
So what does that,
So
what does that mean?
expensive. Isn't that insane?
Paying a click. What does that mean?
So we basically advertise. So if I search cleaning company London, we come up. Please don't like click it. It still cost me 80 quid.
We'll leave it.
And then, and then the more you pay, the more times you appear.
Fine.
Basically.
Fine.
So you put a monthly budget, and then
Okay,
Google
all
happily
right.
spend it for you.
So the majority of your ads are on Google. Is that your main
So that's kind
drive?
of really is kind of how the business was built. So I mean, up until now, obviously now we have reputation and we do lots of other stuff as well. But certainly for the first at least 10 years before when we're starting out, it was pretty much built on Google.
That's so
I
interesting.
guess you're the original social media marketing gurus then, because now like on TikTok, on Instagram, it's such a such a dense space.
Yeah, it's completely
And-
different. I
yeah.
think, I mean, does Instagram or social media in general factor at all in that? Is that something that you...
So yeah, it's interesting because we're a B2B business, so we tend to we do a lot on LinkedIn. That's our main platform. We do stuff on Instagram, but I'm just not. I haven't found a way to make it work yet. So
That makes
Instagram,
sense.
Facebook.
Yeah.
We're not. I don't think we're on TikTok actually, but I think if you were sort of in the domestic market, I think it could work really well. But for us, we haven't yet been able to make that turn into revenue.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it is predominantly a B2C platform, but then it's also from a reputational perspective, there's so many trends that, you know, maybe you can hop on and that can give you a halo effect where, you know, the Queen rings you up. And she's like, come
Prince Harry
clean.
comes back from the
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to come back just for you.
Megan sees us on Instagram. She's like,
Like,
oh.
move aside. Oh, literally. So talk us through the whole scaling process to how you got to where you are now.
So we had, I suppose there are a few kind of key moments in that journey. One of them was we had a company approach us who they kind of basically ran out of money. And they said, you know, are you interested in doing some kind of deal? Like, will you take over the business or whatever? So we bought this business and we were, I think, about 3 million revenue and they were about 800,000. And obviously for a £3 million business, it's quite a big jump of growth. And I remember when we did that deal, 1st of Jan, we signed it. 1st of Jan it started. Signed everything on New Year's Eve. And then we had our first month of billing. And our finance manager at the time came into me and said, you need to look at this, you need to look at this. And I was like, look at what? And she's like, we made more money in a month than we made like the whole of last year.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, let's have a look. Are you sure?
Yeah.
And it was just really, really interesting because we had, I guess our overheads hadn't really increased and we'd added all this extra revenue and it kind of just fell to the bottom line. And it was the first time I really felt like we were a sort of proper business. And it's true, like, you know, we were kind of more or less break even as most businesses are at that kind of early stage. So that was our first really kind of decent bit of growth. And then, you know, we actually made some profit and we could reinvest that into the business. So we've been quite lucky, I suppose, in that we've never had external funding. It's all been organic growth. And we also invoice our clients like in advance. So I kind of always took the view that I'd rather give the clients a discount if they pay us promptly or pay us early than paying the bank to borrow the money. So we invoice people ahead of time, they pay it, and then they get a discount. So that's also helped us like with our cash flow. And then we had a client. So once we did that deal, that was 2013. I suppose 2015, we had a client in London, a law firm, and they said, "Oh, we're buying this law firm in Manchester, so it's going to be part of our group. Can you cover that for us?" And I said, "Well, no, we're in London, and that's it." And they said, "Well, look, find a company there, and then subcontract that out and charge us management fee 10% or something." So I said, "Okay, fine." So I went to Manchester, booked up 4 appointments. Was really struggling to find a company actually in Manchester. Anyway, I found 4 companies, booked up these appointments, went to this like lovely 5-star hotel, and 2 of them did turn up. And one of them never bothered sending a quote. He was a total weirdo anyway, a total nutter. I was like, I can't work with this guy. And then I had one quote, and I was like, well, that's it. I've got to go with that one. So so I took on this guy, and he ran it for us. And we probably ran that for a couple of years, and he, you know, just kind of ticked along. And then he said to me one day, because he was an architect by trade, I think he'd kind of inherited this business by accident as well. And said, I'm thinking of selling the business, are you interested? So I said, okay, fine. We agreed a deal. And it wasn't very expensive, but it was probably about 200,000 or 300,000 in revenue. So we ended up buying that business, and it was really good. But suddenly we had like this little business in Manchester. And it was at the time when all these companies were moving up to Manchester, like BBC, and loads of companies were opening offices there. And it kind of just gave us a little base and a platform to grow from. And then we kind of grew that to over 1 million, 1.5 million, that bit of the country. And then again, that gave us a bit of a competitive advantage because a lot of companies who are London-based were not really going outside London, and we could then look after their London and Manchester. So yeah, that really helped us on that journey as well.
If you think about the journey as a whole, what would you say is the biggest obstacle and how did you get through that?
The biggest obstacle is probably people, I would say.
Internally or externally?
Internally. So having the right hires. And I think it's interesting because you need different people at different points in the journey.
Yeah.
So you
Lots
have
of founders tend to say that. That's
I was about to say,
interesting.
Andrew
Yeah.
also spoke a lot about this. With
And that
Yeah.
makes
getting the
complete
right
sense
people.
because obviously the vision evolves
Yeah.
and your needs evolve and
it's absolutely true. And I think, when you're in that kind of startup phase, you need people who are like willing to roll up their sleeves and do a bit of everything. And then, suddenly when you need them to focus on one thing, maybe they're not the right people. And we've had to kind of change people all through that journey. I think there's only one person actually, our HR director, has been with us for 16 years.
Wow.
Since the beginning in our very, very first office.
has it ever been, because I was listening to this podcast where this founder was saying that the hardest thing for her was that the people who were with her in the beginning of the journey, she had developed such a close relationship with, and they had helped her build the company to what it was. But she then got to a point where it took too long for her to let them go, because obviously, as you're saying, the company needs evolved and she needed people with more experience. But obviously she had a connection to them. Has that ever happened to you with someone that you've let go of?
Yeah, I mean, yes. But I think I've been able to kind of, you kind of reach a natural end, I think, to a relationship. Like there are some people, obviously, I've
As an
fallen out
expiry
with,
date.
as you do, on that journey. But I think, everyone's got shelf life is a really horrible way to put it, but everyone's got like a.
Sure, you have an expiry
It's
date.
fair though. It's fair though.
Everyone's got a tolerance level of what they're willing to do and not do, and the bigger you get, like the pressure. I mean, the pressure's high from the beginning, but it's a different kind of pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few people who we've parted company, but I'm still friends with them, still talk to them and meet up with
That's
them.
nice.
So
Which
when
is good.
you're hiring people, bar the skill set, the hard skills, what are you looking for?
Attitude, I think, is probably the main thing. You want people who are going to, just come in and get on with it. And I know that sounds really simple, but it kind of is as simple as that.
I feel like interviews can be so deceiving though, how someone appears in an interview versus how they are in the office and how they work. So how do you figure out, like, what soft skill are you using to be like, that person's going to perform super well? Because I can tell from the way they speak, from the way they talk about their past work experiences, that they're going to do really well. How can you figure that out?
I suppose, there's no kind of like formula that I use. A lot of it is like gut instincts. And, from the time that you kind of make contact with that person, they're kind of like, or I'm assessing them. Like the approach, have they sent a follow up? Did they message me on LinkedIn? I try and meet them off site. So try and see people a few times before actually, on the senior hire basis. So I try and meet them somewhere like informally, what are they like over a breakfast or a lunch or dinner or whatever. Also, I like them to meet my team, the senior team, so they normally meet them before. And that's also a two-way thing, because if they don't like them, then it's also difficult. So I kind of want the team's buy-in, usually for senior hires. And and then I think through that process, you kind of get a feel. And then, there have been times when I've been like, wow, they're amazing. And then you hire them and they're just like totally different people. And you're like, oh God, what happened?
So
like,
interesting.
that's so wrong.
Yeah.
But once you've hired them, I'd say probably within a month, you've got a good gut feel.
Yeah.
What they're like.
What they're like and if that's going to last or not.
So before Cleanology, this is an interesting thing to talk about. You were on Dragon's Den.
The famous Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den keeps on popping up on our podcast, honestly.
You've interviewed so many Dragon's Den
So
people.
many. You were rejected on Dragon's Den.
You were rejected?
Yeah, I was rejected, unfortunately. But I know, painful. I couldn't watch it for about 4 years after that. I was so
Super fair.
so traumatized. Hopefully you've had some founders on that actually got the money.
Well, we had one who got rejected,
quite a
and
few.
it's turned out to be the best thing for her business because
Yeah.
the amount of publicity you get is just insane.
Yeah.
Following it, but
A lot of
did
people
that
do
happen
it for
to you?
PR. Yeah.
Well, it was actually 2007, so it's like 18 years ago since I did that.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
it's funny, every time like you meet someone new, the first thing they say is to talk about
I know.
So I never thought like it would have that much
Haunt you.
impact. Yeah, haunt me.
That's so fun.
But it was a funny experience. I mean, I'm glad I did it. It was good fun. It was quite intense, as you'd expect. You know, when you're in the den.
What company were you pitching?
So that was my business before Cleanology. So that was a motorized rickshaw business. So we set up the first motorized rickshaw business, motorized rickshaw service in Europe. It was a bit like so the first year we ran it, the only way, there were two challenges of that business that really kind of killed it. One was the licensing, and the second was the insurance. And then year two, the insurance kind of ended us. We had a small accident. Luckily, no one got seriously injured. It was a really fun business, but it was so many challenges, and it was kind of ahead of its time, because the first year we ran it as a bus service, so it kind of ran along a fixed route, and we were just completely overwhelmed. It was just too popular, and there were like queues for like 2 hours for people to like get on, and it was insane. It was
and this was
insane.
in London only, or what?
This
areas
was in Brighton.
Okay,
Brighton,
all right.
okay.
So we ran it in Brighton. So I was working about 100 to 120 hours a week at that point, and I was literally like, when we got rid of this business, it took me 6 months to just recover. I was knackered. So I used to do Cleanology during the week. So I used to do like 4 days in London, and then I used to go to Brighton for 3 or 4 days.
Right. So
as
Cleanology was already.
So I was
in the
literally working
picture.
7 days a week. So Cleanology was already carried on in the background, and I was kind of running both. But this business ran from like 8 in the morning till 2 in the morning. So I used to basically sleep between 2 in the morning and 8 in the morning, and then I was like back out. It was completely
How many
mental.
people were?
I don't know how I did it.
I mean, how many people did you have in your team? Was it?
There's about 20.
Okay.
You must have been
Yeah,
really
it's about
young
20.
then as well.
Yeah, I was about
Yeah.
27, I think.
That's
26.
very young. And you didn't have a co-founder, right? Or
No, no. I just kind of started on my own, and then we built our own like power station, like a refueling station. Like it was.
That's mental.
You look terrified.
It was quite great. When I look back, I'm like, I can't believe I actually did that.
You built it and then you sold it when.
No, we organised for a company to come in and build it, but they put it in specifically for us. And it was like in every magazine, newspaper. I remember flying back from India once because I had to go and see the factory there. And I was like sitting there, opening the magazine. I was like, oh my God, it's me. It was really weird. And it was like Times of India front page, Radio 4, CNN. It was like literally every news channel you can think of. It was on. So it was crazy. It was completely crazy.
And when did the tuk-tuk concept come in? Because that was your idea was to use tuk-tuks here in the UK.
Yeah,
right?
so I set it up in Brighton because we wanted to run it as a trial. So ultimately, I wanted to set it up in London.
Okay.
So the first year, as I said, we ran it as a bus. The second year, we ran it as like a dialing, telephone service. So it's more like a mini cab. So it's basically like an Uber.
Okay.
But obviously, people didn't really were not as savvy in terms of like pay by phone. Not everything is paid by phone, parking and stuff. So it was really a bit too early. It's really unfortunate. And also, we should have made it cashless and everyone paid by card, which everything now is. So we had so much money stolen from us. It's not even funny because people, the drivers just stole money. Sorry, drivers, if you're listening to this, but you did.
Really? Okay, no, but that's so interesting. So you were literally ahead of your time because that is
because for every pound we took, we probably lost 2. I would say at least. It was
because of how much cash was being stolen.
Yeah.
That's what happens in restaurants.
Yeah.
That's why restaurants.
Because
are
you come, they were going out for like 2 hour like session, and then they come back and it's like, how was it? Oh, it's dead. It's really quiet. I'm like, hang on a minute, it wasn't. I've seen like 5 people like standing there, and I'm like, where's the money?
That's horrible.
Whereas now, because everything's Apple Pay, it just completely
now
it's out. I'm imagining a sort of like as a tuk-tuk line bike app sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I did it again, I'm sort of tempted to do it again. Because
you
now
could. I was about to say. I mean,
do it.
I think my family would be absolutely horrified if they heard that. But
we can drive.
The world has changed so much that you could probably do it again, and you'll do it in a completely different way. But yeah, it was like an Uber.
So these tuk-tuk drivers in Mayfair and in London, are they just independent?
So I actually went down to one of those companies and I actually trained as a driver because I wanted to see like get the whole experience. So I went down, I want a job. So I actually went through, I did an exam, I had to cycle. It was absolutely knackering. I had to cycle up like Waterloo Bridge.
Between this
it's
and the
heavy.
power
And
station.
this is pre-electric bikes too, right?
Yeah,
So
so-
this is it.
So all of
pure
ours ran
muscle.
on natural gas. So it's all like
God.
zero emission, really eco-friendly. But the ones in London are all cycles. So you've got to like pedal, and they're really heavy.
Of course, yeah.
So I did my exam, and then I passed, obviously, and I was like qualified driver. And they're like, "Would you like a job?" I'm like, "No, I'm okay, thanks. I've got to go start my own business
Good
now."
now.
But it was interesting to see the experience of like the driver experience,
course,
the driver
yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
and also like what they're like to drive. But yeah, those guys are just completely unregulated, just do whatever they like because they don't have an engine. So if they had an engine, they'd have to be licensed. That's the
See,
difference.
And then there's a whole insurance thing that comes with
And then the
it.
whole insurance thing,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they, the insurers see it as like massively high risk.
Okay,
yeah.
that's interesting.
Well, maybe Line Bike comes out with like a special edition sort of tuk-tuk
partnership
thing.
or
Yeah,
something.
partnership.
Yeah.
Crazy. So what's your plan going forward with Cleanology? Where are you trying to get to next?
So we're at about 25 million at the moment. Plan is to grow it to about 50 million in the next 3 years.
Right.
So when we came out of COVID, so we went into COVID really strong, and then COVID came, and we had about 85% of our staff on furlough, and then revenue took a hit. Although actually we were still quite profitable, which was good because we kind of managed to do some other cleans like COVID cleans and stuff, which kept us going.
Did you ever at that point think to, well, obviously, I mean, the issue would have still been present even if you were cleaning individual homes, but did you ever at any point think about expanding it to an end consumer as well?
Yeah, we did at that point. We sat there and were like, okay, all of our clients are closed except like
Right.
15% of them. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Can we clean people's houses? What else can we do to survive? And we kind of looked at it, but in the end, we decided actually we're going to ride it out and focus on trying to deliver more to where we're currently working because it was quite a very different business model. But we did look at it as a serious kind of proposition, but decided not to in the end. But one of the things that kind of happened coming out of COVID, so kind of on that, just talking about that growth bit, is we were basically a London and Manchester business. And then we had a lot of clients who were like big national kind of companies, and we were working in London. They'd say, "Love what you do there. We've got an office in Edinburgh and Glasgow and Bristol and everywhere, Birmingham. Can you take all those places on for us? And we want you everywhere." So again, I was like, "Well, no, because we're a London business, and it's I don't know how I'm going to manage to set all that up." And then we had sort of 2 or 3 like really good opportunities come our way. And then I kind of just took the view that actually if we didn't do it, we'd probably lose what we had in London anyway. So I thought we're just going to have to kind of like go for this and see what happens. So kind of really by accident, we kind of just launched these. We launched 17 cities in 12 months. It was completely insane. It was like having a startup in every
Wow.
city. And we're lucky we got these sort of handful of bids that we were going for. We got like 175% of what we quoted. So we're kind of just like really lucky that right place, right time. And also coming out of COVID, everybody was like really into like well-being and employees and
True.
sustainability and all this kind of stuff. So we're really big on like ESG, so sustainability, real living wage, looking after our people, and people kind of just really loved that and kind of like bought into it. So we used that. And that kind of gave us a lot of growth. And so the last couple of years we went from 12 million to 22 million in a year, which definitely had a lot of pain at the end of it. Put a lot of pressure on our people and also on our systems. We've had to like upgrade a lot of things to go to the next point, which is the 50 million. But so really our kind of plan for the next 3 years is to consolidate what we've got, grow those like regions, so like Scotland, Midlands, Southwest, London, Northwest, Manchester area. And then, kind of just consolidate that and build them up. So a bit like our Manchester journey back in the day, we went from like 200,000-300,000 to 1.5 million. We kind of need to do that with those other areas now. And then, but nationally for us in our sector, there are lots of like small businesses, like really kind of like mom and pop kind of companies,
Yeah.
or you've got like massive like international kind of companies who operate nationally. There's not a lot in between. So for us, we're like, well, actually, there's a really good opportunity here to have like a mid-sized kind of entrepreneurial, nimble kind of business who's like really forward-thinking and doing things really well. To look after us nationally, because we don't really want to use these really small companies everywhere, and we don't want to use one of these massive corporates either. So that's our kind of plan, really.
Cool.
I think it's good to go general in these cases. What would you say if someone is young and trying to break into an industry like facilities management, which is, I think, quite specific, quite niche, has a lot of regulation? What would be your main advice?
And in that same vein, if we go back to 27-year-old Dominic, what do you wish he knew? What do you wish somebody would say to him?
Slow down. Seriously.
Rest.
Like you need to calm down.
I don't know if I actually could do it, but I'd like to think I could do it. Is to probably go and work for someone else for a short period and
That's
get a bit of
interesting.
experience. And
Within that industry.
no, well,
Just in general?
just in general, I
So
think.
you didn't do that?
No,
You
because
went
I've
straight
always
from-
had my own business, and I think I'm unemployable. I think that's the problem. I don't know if I'd actually be able to win a job and actually keep a job.
Well, I think
But-
it depends, because we always talk about this, and we can tell kind of instantly if a founder has had a corporate experience or not.
Instantly. It's
It's
the
just
corporate jargon, the sort of corporate professionalism. It's a different language.
Completely
you hold yourself
different.
differently, you speak differently, the reservation in your tone and voice is different.
your approach
And
to work, I
that's-
think, is also
yeah.
quite different.
And that's because of
Yeah.
the corporate shaping, where you
Uh-huh.
sort
Yeah.
of have to mould in and fit a mould and be careful what you say, be careful what you
Yeah.
speak about. So you can tell instantly.
Is that why you would have wanted a
Well,
corporate job, or is there another reason?
No, I think it's just good to have like a bit more, just a bit more experience. And I think, if I had done that, I mean, again, this is why I'm a bit like maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. If I had gone and worked for someone for 5 years, maybe 10, probably 10 at the absolute most, so it would have driven me mad. Would I have kind of learned things that I wouldn't otherwise now know, and could I have made my business better after that?
Right.
So I think it's probably about, could I have used that learning experience to like make a bigger success of my own business later rather than going straight into
Yeah.
it. But I absolutely hated studying. I hated uni. I could not wait to get out and start my own business.
Yeah.
And I can't see myself ever actually having done it, but I kind of wish I forced myself to do it in the same way I forced myself to go to uni. I was just like, I've got to do it, because if I ever need to fall back on it, I've got that as an insurance policy.
When you say you would have driven yourself mad, why is that? What about working for a corporate, working for someone else? What about that is
Why are you so
I hate
unemployable?
rules.
why? Okay.
I suppose
Hate
it's the,
rules or hate being told what to do?
yeah, well, that yeah.
That's kind of-
as long as
yeah.
I make the rules, it's fine. I think it's just the conformity, and just it's the freedom. It's not about the money. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can have your own business, you make loads of money. I mean, obviously, if you're successful, that's the kind of byproduct. But I think for me and for most founders, is probably the freedom is probably the number one thing.
Not feeling restricted.
Not feeling restricted. You can do whatever you like. You can
Flexibility,
do it, in your own way when you want. And also the kind of creativity, because
Yeah.
I'm quite like a creative person, and I want to come up with my own ideas and do my own thing. And it's like, well, if you're working for someone else, you've got to basically do whatever they tell you to do.
Yep.
And I think that is, I don't know how I could do it. I just don't know how I could do
So
it.
how do your employees do it?
I don't know. I don't know how they cope with me. I try and give them some freedom within parameters. So I'm like, okay, this is what we want to achieve. Like, you work out how the best way to get us there.
Have you ever interviewed someone and been like, I see too much of myself in you. You're too much of an entrepreneur / founder type personality that it won't do. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, why are you not running your own business? I'm not sure about this.
Did you ever tell
This
them?
is sus.
No, I didn't. No. Yeah, this is very suspect. And part of me thinks, actually, do you know, I could do with a bit of an intrapreneur, like an entrepreneur on the inside, kind of like
Okay, I've never heard that term. I love that.
entrepreneur. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a sort of internal working for somebody, an employee who's an entrepreneur, basically.
Yeah.
Because you do want people like that, and who can be like really creative, and you want people who are effectively better than you around you doing those different roles. But yeah, I definitely would encourage anyone who's younger to give it a go. Like, even if you like work for someone for a few years, probably under 30. I think you want to kind of do it before you have like responsibility and family and kids and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't do it, you'll always regret it. And I would never do anything else. Would never look back and change it. And, you know.
Such a wholesome way to end this episode. Honestly, I think I'm going to cry. So you've been CEO for quite some time and you're now moving into a chairman position. Why did you make that decision? What will change? Walk us through that.
So yeah, it's a huge change for me personally and for the business. Obviously, I've been doing this for like 22 years. I think it's right for the business, and I think it's also right for me personally. So I think from a business point of view, it probably needs like different skill sets, and I think we're trying to like professionalize the business a bit, so it's sort of less founder-led and a bit more corporate. I don't want it to lose its culture and identity though, and I think that's probably what's held me off not doing this sooner. But I think that as a business kind of matures, you do need like different people around you to kind of run it. And I'm not a complete control freak, only a bit, but you need to be able to let go, and you need people who can run it for you, because you just can't control everything in the way you did when you started. And I think also just from a kind of exit point of view, potentially in the future, you know, a business that is completely reliant on the founder, or the founder's doing everything and running it, is also not particularly attractive, I don't think, to a potential buyer. So, you know, just mindful of the future, and actually you kind of want to create a bit of a succession planning and have the business reliant on other people, not just on any one individual. Yeah. So I think it's quite important to demonstrate that, as, you know, this business can run if Dominic's not around. It's a proper business. It's not just Dominic who's running it. And, you know, it hasn't been for a long time. But I think the CEO bit is probably the final icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. There are quite a few founders have mentioned that one of the hardest things as a founder is to learning to let go and learning to give responsibility to other people. And I remember Andrew also said that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
He said the same thing.
He said that.
It was like the business is good once it can run without the founder.
Yeah, and I think it's almost a test, really, isn't it? It's like, it's the ultimate test. Is, can that business run without the founder there? If it can, you're kind of a proper business now, a mature business. And I think for me personally as well, you know, I've done it for so long, and there's other things that I want to do as well. And you know, you're not getting any younger, so you know, timing wise, it kind of works well. That
makes sense. Yeah. Other things, not other businesses.
I'm gonna have a good month off. Gonna go abroad, go to like a health farm, chill out. Like,
that's nice.
I love it.
Decompress a whole month, at least a month. Decompress a bit.
After 22 years.
And then I've got a few other plans. Like want to write a book, learn to fly, just do like fun stuff.
Book as in a biography.
As in like a business book. I haven't decided the full kind of content of it.
Well, we'll promote it on the podcast.
So, I want to learn to fly, and then I might start another business as well. I might also look at politics, maybe. So
I'd vote for you.
Interesting. No, seriously, we love that.
Amazing. Well, Dominic, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate
Thank you.
your time. This has been a great conversation.
Good. Thank you.